to Lila the podcast. I'm your host, Alexa, and today I am joined by my lovely friend, Lola.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, Lola.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. Lola is one of my good friends. We became friends probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was right after we graduated from college, so like 2021.
Yeah, and we were just kind of going through a similar thing at the same time, and we bonded over that.
We had a mutual friend, Lindsay, that introduced us because we were both like literally going through like the exact same situation. And she was like, hey, I have a friend that's going through this that you might want to like or might want to know. And so then here we are 2 years later, still bonding over it, honestly. We'll forever bond over it. But then now we have other stuff to bond over, like traveling and stuff. So.
Yeah, and you're a big-time travel girly
I try.
lately. So, Lola, what kind of travel do you do? Do you do luxury, budget, backpacking, friends, family? What are you into? What's your niche?
I do all of the above, I think.
Yeah. Luxury.
Okay.
Bali.
Yeah, I guess. But Bali was like still budget travel. Like it wasn't like super luxury. I just like honestly can't afford. I'm too broke for that to do luxury travel. But
yeah, but the thing is like now with a grain of salt, you don't have to be rich to travel.
And that is something that I have really nailed.
Yeah. Like I mean, look at me.
Look at like girl, I work in the pharmacy as a pharmacy tech. That does not pay very well. Like it is that does not pay a lot of bills. Luckily, I don't have to pay rent because I'm living with my parents right now, but I'm the queen of budget traveling, and I know that you are too. Love a good budget. Love a good deal. I'll save $1 if I can.
I just love to see you out there getting into it because you've talked about wanting to do it for a long time, and it's just so cool to have another friend from home that'll just be like, hey, I want to go here. Oh yeah, I booked this.
No, literally. But I have to say, you were the one who inspired me to like do the big trips that I've done. Before I became like closer with you, my idea of traveling was like a week or two in like one destination. Like I'd go to like Florida for spring break, which don't get me wrong, love Florida for spring break.
Of course.
I didn't even think of the idea of even like going to a place for like an extended amount of time, like more than a month or I have to say, like, becoming your friend has been, like, very, like, eye-opening for me of just, like,
that's
how
so
much
sweet.
I don't know, it just inspired me a lot to, like, travel and, like, do, like, the big trips like that. Because I would just go to, I don't know, anywhere for, like, just a week. And I don't know, now, like, ever since, like, going on, like, a month-long trip somewhere, I'm like, I can't even imagine.
Going for less? A week? Please. What's the point?
Literally, I'm sorry. And I also can't imagine traveling to, like, one place and staying in one place for more than a week now. I'm like, okay, I want to, like, be in a new city every 3 to 4 days. I can't sit still. I don't know how I could just go to, like, a beach vacation and just sit on the beach every single day for a week. I am, like, a very busy body. And
You're super planned out, too.
Yeah, like, I do not know how
Months
to just...
in advance.
I don't know how to be still. Like, I don't know how to, like, not... I don't know. My brain just needs to constantly be going. So I think, like, I struggle with beach vacations. And, like, when I think of, like, luxury vacations, that's what I think of as, like, just, like, a relaxing... I don't know how to relax on travel.
They all have their place and time.
Yeah.
I would love to do that kind of travel when I have some money.
Yeah.
But for now, it's hostels and
it is
public transport for me. But are you in another country? Yeah, you are. So I think you're fine.
I get to see a new site today, so I don't care what conditions I'm living in. As long as I get to see something new.
There you go.
And it's a foreign country. I love me some foreign men.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah, but no, so I guess how I got started traveling, I just graduated from college and I like was originally on the pre-med track and like I had studied for the MCAT, like spent 4 months studying for it. And then I took the MCAT and I was just like, okay, I need to go on a vacation immediately.
Yeah.
And so I posted on my Snapchat private story And I was like, anyone want to go on a vacation, in a half joking way. And my friend Vika swiped up and she's like, I actually want to go to Hawaii next month. I think you should join.
Our friend Vika also just randomly, this week she just posted in Austria. Oh, okay. She'll just randomly be somewhere.
Didn't know you were going.
She probably didn't know either.
Until like yesterday. But yeah, so she swiped up and she's like, I want to go to Hawaii next month. Like, I think you should come. And I was like, okay, slay. We bought the tickets literally the next day. And I was like, okay, like this is really exciting and really fun. And so we went to Hawaii, and it's really interesting listening to one of your last episodes, the girl that you met in Hawaai that was from
Bree?
California. Yeah, Bree. When I was listening to that episode, when she was talking about how like she went to Hawaii and like it literally changed her life and like whatever, I low-key was like, I experienced the same thing. Like, I don't know, like just like going to Hawaii like really opened my eyes of, okay, like there's a lot in the world to see and a lot to do. Hawaii is beautiful and I want to see other parts of the world, because at that point I really had only been traveling to Florida. That was the only places I had really done travel. So going to Hawaii was very eye-opening for me and just low-key like altered my brain chemistry forever because it just like made me realize how much I want to do this, and it actually changed my entire career path and everything too. Like it made me realize I don't want to go to medical school because I don't want to like commit to that much time in schooling just to like miss out on travel. I don't know. So it like changed a lot for me.
That's crazy. Yeah. Hawaii does that. Really, that's what we talked about in that episode.
Yeah, it was a very short trip. Like I didn't go for a long time. I think it was just like a week. After that, I was like, I don't know, I got bit by the travel bug. And
it bites hard.
It does. And so after that, I hadn't met you yet, but then I think we met that summer. I came home and I don't know, I didn't really think that much about travel after that trip though. Like even though while I was there, I was like, oh my God, like I'm obsessed with this. I want to do all this and that. And so then my friend Anna and I, we were just taking a summer class together, and we were like, maybe we should go to Europe after the class gets out. And so we just literally the next day booked it.
Yeah.
And that's just what I'm good at. I come up with an idea and then the next day it's booked.
See, that's the thing. I feel like you have to just book it before you think about it.
Exactly.
Before you talk yourself out of it. Because that is something that I regret so much about this past winter when you and our friend Allie went to South America, and I dragged my feet on it. I had found a good ticket and I was like, oh, I just probably shouldn't be affording this right now. And then by the time I decided to book it, I just said, fuck it, I'll book it. Ticket jumped $300.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now I actually really can't afford it. So
yeah. And it's the thing that like I have really learned is it's uncomfortable to spend a lot of money at once.
So uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable.
Even if I was rolling in it, I think it would probably be uncomfortable.
Literally.
Because I'm so used to just saving all the time. Like the only financial advice I think I got from my parents when I was 16 and got a job was save. Don't spend, save.
Literally.
So in my head, it's just ingrained. Like now I've learned some more things about finance. I'm not saying I practice them. And your upbringing is a bit different because both your parents
they're finance people.
Yeah.
They have their masters in finance. But my parents also did teach me the same thing to save. Like my mom is so frugal. I literally will chase the pennies to save as much as I can. That's why like I've also been ingrained, just not spend a lot of money at once. Whereas like I know people in my life that money enters their account, immediately they have to spend it. You know?
That's so crazy.
And
That's so crazy.
I literally can't even fathom that. I'm like, if I have less than several $1,000s in my bank account, I'm like, I'm broke, even though I'm not.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's a little trick. If you buy the ticket before you go on your travel, the day you leave, it's free.
It's free because it's paid off.
Because you already went through oh my God. I should not. That's such a big chunk of money.
Literally.
I would feel that was $50.
Yeah.
So.
No, I have a hard time spending $30 at Target. Like, I don't know, like stuff that I need. I went to Target the other day and I think I spent $30 on like toothbrush, toothpaste, a couple like traveling things that I need. And I was like,
I know I'll go to the store for body wash, toothpaste, and floss. And then I'll get there and see the price and I'm like, do I really need it? Yeah, this is specifically what I came here for. Yet at the same time, I'll go and be like, a ticket to Australia is on sale for $1,500.
Oh my gosh, my Abercrombie shorts were on sale for $45. What a deal. But I'm literally like the necessities. And that's the weirdest thing. I do have a harder time spending more money on necessities. But then also traveling is a necessity for me. So, but no.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of your recent travels.
Yeah.
Where you been, girl?
So I obviously started out going to Hawaii and then went to Europe, which also altered my brain chemistry permanently. You
guys were on the TikTok grind.
Yeah.
They were pretty good.
We made the best TikTok ever. So if y'all want to look it up. And then that was like just the best trip I've probably been on. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to compare them all, but loved Europe. And then went to Bali, which is where I met up with Alexa while she was traveling all over Southeast Asia for 4 months.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was so fun. And then went to Belize over the summer. And then my most recent trip was I went to South America for a month, and that was like my first big backpacking trip that I went for like more than just a week or two. Mm-hmm. And that was amazing. South America is unbelievably underrated, especially by Americans.
Because we're just told it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
But like, how did you honestly feel there?
I never once felt unsafe. Mm-hmm. I felt more unsafe when I went to Belize, which was Central America. And I do know that like a lot of Americans would go to like Central America before they go to South America. But I never once felt unsafe. And I think South America like is associated with Venezuela. Like when people think of South America, that's what they think of. Mm-hmm. And which is fair. Venezuela is very dangerous. And I would never travel there. Mm-hmm. But like the rest of the countries down there are like totally fine. If you look at the travel advisories, all the countries I went to were just a level 2 travel advisory, which is literally a lower travel advisory than France. France is a level 3. Mm-hmm. And so is Germany. Mm-hmm. No. That is incorrect. It's the same as France and Germany. France and Germany are level 2. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, so the level of safety is literally equivalent to the countries in Europe.
Yeah. Was Bali your first time staying in a hostel?
No, when I went to Europe.
That's right. Okay, so where did you and Anna go in Europe? You were gone for 10 days?
Yeah, so we went for 10 days. We went to Germany, and then we spent just one night in Luxembourg on the way to Paris, and then we spent the night in Paris, or spent like 4 nights in Paris, but it was so fun. South America, though, is so much cheaper than Europe because in the 10 days that I was in Europe, I spent the same amount of money that I spent on a month in South America. Like the hostels in Europe are like, well, especially for Paris, the hostels are like $50 a night, which actually just hurts me.
I know. I'm so glad that the first place I solo traveled and went backpacking was Europe because I thought that it was cheap because my idea of traveling until that point had always been like staying in hotels or Airbnbs and all that, something that you cannot you just can't spend under 100.
I went to
nowadays definitely like probably not even 130 for something.
I went to literally middle of nowhere Iowa, the cheapest hotel I could find was a literal dump with like a lot of like with like
stains on the bed. I bet
it was disgusting, and that was $130 a night. And I was like, I have stayed in nicer hostels than this for $5 a night in South America. Yeah. Like, it actually just, like, it hurts traveling in America. Iowa, of all places. Like, there is nothing to do there besides corn.
All you can do is corn. It's crazy. Yeah, no, definitely don't recommend going.
Yeah. But, yeah, that was my first hostel experience, too, was Europe. And so, like, at the time, too, like, I thought $50 a night was, like, a deal. I was like, okay, like you'll never find a place like that in like America for $50 a night. But then going to South America, literally hostels are $5 a night, and like they have a bar, a jacuzzi, a pool. They got luxury.
Yeah, or in Bali, the hostel that we stayed at there, it's so nice. It was maybe $25 a night. It was a 4-bed, so we knew it was all 4 of us. So we knew everyone in the room. It was so freaking nice. So much nicer than some of the hotels I've stayed in. You got free breakfast, included breakfast, included yoga classes. You get a massage every day.
You can get your nails done for free. You can get
your nails done. No, it was kind of just like somebody with nail polish. It wasn't like a full manicure, but still.
It's
the spa luxury of it all. Yeah.
It's giving luxury.
Yeah. And then where did you go? So you went to Belize. That feels so random to me. I would never think of just going to Belize. How did you guys end up going there?
So Anna started school in August, I think, and she was going to nursing school. My friend Anna that I went to Europe with. And her and I like have done a lot of traveling together. Like we went to Europe and then we went to Bali as well with you. And so like, I don't know, like she's just like somebody that like I travel very, very well with. And so like we knew we wanted to go on one more trip before she started school. And originally we were thinking about going back to Europe. And then when we looked at the flight prices, that hurt a little bit. It was like $1,700 for the cheapest flight to anywhere in Europe.
In the summer?
It was for the summertime. And we were looking in May to go in like June. And so like it's also like short notice. Like it's only a month in advance. And so like we were just like, that's way too expensive. Like, I don't know, like, and we had just gotten home from Bali. Like, we literally, like, 2 weeks after getting home from Bali, we're like, okay, when's our next trip?
Post-trip depression, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I, like, literally can't afford that. So we were just on Google Flights, and we were just, like, actually looking for anywhere in the world to, like, the cheapest place.
Anywhere but Minnesota. Please take me out.
Anywhere but the United States. And so that is literally how we decided on Belize because it was the cheapest option. It was like $700 and very, very worth it. And it was funny because I had never once thought of traveling to Belize. I didn't even know where Belize was. If like before this, I didn't know where it was on the map. I low-key thought it was like in Asia or something. I don't know. I'm just not like very geographically.
I'm not very geographically.
I'm not very good at geography. And so that's how we decided on it. It was just the cheapest option. And I'll never regret that decision because that's where I met my friend Chrissy. That's like a lifelong friend now. Like we became like super duper close with her. And then we went to visit her in Florida because that's where she's from. And then she's actually coming to Europe with me on my next trip.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, she's coming to Croatia with us for a week and a half.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of you right now.
I know.
I'm so green with envy. I can't even.
You know that if you could come, you would.
I know, and I will soon. But yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we decided on Belize. And then for the next trip, which was South America, that was also just spur of the moment. I think my friend Allie and I had just been spending a lot of time together and she was hoping to start school for like the spring semester. And so we were like, okay, well, we should just try to do like a little trip before. And then, of course, that's setting me up to spiral and be like, okay, well, maybe we should just do a month instead.
Yeah. And actually, maybe we should just get jobs over there and move there.
I actually don't need to be here anymore. And so then I was just like, I think we should do South America because I'm trying to hit all the continents. That's my bucket list right now. So I haven't been to South America yet. I just started doing my research and next thing I know, we were in Ecuador.
So
and
cool.
Peru. Yeah, it was the most amazing experience of my life. I know I say Europe was the best or Bali was the best, but I actually think to date, South America was probably the best trip I've been on. For some reason, I've never made so many friends while traveling. When I was in Europe, I made friends, but not like the friends that I made in South America. So I just want to go back very badly. I think about it every single day, but on to my next adventure, so it's okay.
Yeah, on to your next. Well, I suppose we should just kind of dive right in 20 minutes later. But today, the topic of our conversation today is travel stories, but the kind where you think, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And I think it's pretty obvious why I chose Lola to be in this episode. First of all, because you're well-traveled and you have a hunger for travel and love to talk about it. So sure, let's give you the podium for it. But also because in thinking about my own stories where I thought, oh my God, what did I get myself into? There's one that Lola and I actually share.
Yes. It was more traumatic for me.
And that was in Bali. And so what had happened was basically when I was backpacking Southeast Asia last year for 4 months, and the 3-month mark is when Lola and our friends Lindsay and Anna had come to Bali. And so we met up at that point. And that was really, really good for me because by that point, I was exhausted. I was socially exhausted and also tired of figuring everything out all the time. So it was really, really nice because you had an itinerary.
I'm such an itinerary girly.
You had things planned out. There was Google Docs before I had even booked my
freaking flight to Southeast Asia and I was going to be there in like a month. And you were not going to be in Bali for another 6 months. I thought, yeah, I should probably get going on my ticket, huh? But anyway, there's a lot of things that when you go to these places and you're backpacking, you just end up doing even though you never planned on doing it. And well, I know that's definitely the case for me, whereas you were pretty planned out. But I don't know if this was something you had planned before. I feel like it was the sunrise hike.
Yeah, it was one of our main things that we were for sure planning on doing going into the trip.
Yeah. So when you look things up and it says like, oh, these are things that you must do in this place, you don't really think so much about whether or not it's a good idea for you to do it. You just think, this is what people do. I should do this here.
Yeah.
And so for us, now, I don't regret it. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I had wanted to do a sunrise volcano hike, but there should have been a warning on this label.
Okay, they advertised it as easy.
They just didn't say any. The funny thing about, well, I feel like Southeast Asia in general, but in Indonesia, like you can just go up and be like, yeah, I want to sign up for this. And they're like, okay, cool.
No waivers signed, like extreme sports edition.
Or when I went to Vietnam and I went on the Ha Giang Loop, which is this extreme motorbike loop, it's extremely dangerous. Like people die all the time. And then people can just sign up to be their own driver. Like I hired a driver for it, but people can just sign up to drive themselves. And they'll be like, okay, everybody, raise your hand if you've never driven a motorbike and you signed up to do it by yourself. And like 50 people raise their hand and they're like, okay, go outside and they'll teach you. I kid you not.
It's like a 5-minute lesson.
No, not even. It was 1 minute. They said, okay, see this here? This is go. This is stop. Good luck.
Have fun.
Helmet optional.
Hope you make it through. See you at the end, maybe. Like
it's crazy. So the same goes for Bali. We just signed up for this hike. We're like, oh yeah, everyone does this sunrise hike. Okay, we'd like to sign up. They're like, okay, cool. Like be here at 3 a.m. Right?
I think the meeting time was
it 1 or 3?
It was 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It was 2 a.m. because I remember vividly it was a 2-hour drive to the hike. So we started the hike at 4 a.m. and then it's a 2-hour hike up. And so we can get to the top at 6 a.m. when sunrise started.
I had no idea it was a 2-hour hike. I kid you not.
Girl, it felt like a 15-hour hike to me. So,
So we sign up and yes, I do remember we had to get up pretty early, so much that it was basically just a late night, because I do remember the night before you saying, you guys, we really need to get home. We need to get sleep.
I was trying to still get my 8 hours of sleep. I don't know what I was thinking.
8 hours wasn't going to happen.
I mean,
so how this works, look, before we get into the story of this, I don't want to deter people from doing this hike. Like, it is beautiful. It was worth it. It was really nice at the top, but it was an uphill battle so freaking seriously on the way up there. And I'm just going to be honest about it. Like, people are always going to post and be like, I did the most amazing hike on this volcano, because that's impressive. That looks good.
Yes.
But are they going to admit that it kind of sucked a little?
Yeah, like social media is a lie. Like, people don't know. Like, my Machu Picchu post, literally earlier that morning, I shat myself. No one knows that.
And nobody even knows you shat yourself that morning.
Literally. It's all a lie. Like, social media, don't trust it ever.
So on this hike, I remember at the beginning, I was like, oh, like it's not too bad. We're slowly picking up some
I don't know, like
incline.
It was like not super steep at first.
And I just casually asked one of the guides, I'm like, so how long does it take us to get up there? I'm thinking an hour. He's like, should be about 2.5 hours. And I'm trying to not make it visible that I need to physically pick my job off the ground when he says that, because I think I've never done a 2-hour hike in my life, let alone at sunrise, and I am not a morning person.
Yeah, I mean, I could be, but not at 3 a.m.
I'm a night owl, but the hours of 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. are usually not prime functioning hours for me.
Yeah,
and that's exactly when this activity was.
This was at the worst time of day.
Yeah, so know yourself, but also push yourself. But anyway, so I just remember going up there, and we're trekking through. Like, I can get through it pretty much. And if it weren't for the beef jerky that Lindsay had brought, I probably wouldn't have survived. But I just remember going up and like at a certain point, it's pitch black out. Like, you have these headlamps, but still, it's super, super steep and there's loose rock. And everyone, you just see this whole trail of people climbing up this mountain. And I saw people that were like probably
50s.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or like had like a knee brace on. And I'm thinking,
No one
warned them. No one. Someone saw that knee brace on you and just thought, sure, we'll make the money off of him. You might not make it down.
But the thing is like the way the hike was is it's just a single file line up. Mm-hmm. And so like if you stop, everyone behind you has to stop. Yeah. So you can't stop. Yeah. And that is, I think, the hardest part is I needed to stop to catch my breath. But I literally couldn't, so I started crying.
So for me, I don't like to take breaks because I feel like it just prolongs it. It feels good in the moment, and then as soon as I start up again, it just feels super hard. So I'd rather just power through as much as I can. And that was not the case for you. And I just
that is not how we are alike, because I am a break girly.
and we look back and Lola is trying to be cool. She's trying to be chill, but she has tears in her eyes. And she's like, you guys, like, and we're like, are you gonna make it up? Like, we're gonna miss sunrise. We have to go. And we were trying. Me and Lindsay were trying not to laugh at you guys, and it makes us sound like such bad friends, but it was just like a little bit dramatic.
No, it was true raw emotions.
That was so real for you.
Like, it was. I was not being dramatic. I will admit, I am a dramatic person. I don't know how to be anything but over the top. But
yet, for some reason, you're gonna say that at this moment you were.
In this moment, I actually could not help the tears. That was all. That would have happened if I was by myself.
And then we get up there, and it's like, guys, we should get a picture. So it was a really good. It was a really good thing that we did. And look, the guides, they hung out with us, and we like to think it's because we're like cute and funny and fun.
I'm like, okay, like, are you in love with me? Or like,
yeah. And then they'll like reach their hand out to help you, and it's like a loose rock going down the hill, and you're like, oh, thank you.
Oh, thank
and then
you.
you see them do it to every single person. You're like,
oh, so
I'm not special?
I know
so
that
this is just a job to you.
Oh, you're just trying to get that fucking tip.
And they will. And they were kings. They were kings. Yeah. They were singing with us, and Bali tour guides are different.
They
king behavior.
Go the extra mile for you.
You ask them to take a picture, and they will literally climb up in a tree. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I saw Bali tour guides in a tree at Nusa Penida.
You see the social media that shows like Bali tour guides, and you're like, oh, no way, that's real. No, it is.
Well, I just remember that being something that we were like, dude, we should have read the freaking itinerary. We should have asked some questions instead of just signing up for it. And I just feel like as backpackers, that happens so often. And it just reminded me so much of like a month or two earlier when I went to Khao National Park. Now, it was really, really cool. Highly recommend you do it. If you want to learn more about Khao National Park or how to visit it, you can visit my blog. I'll link it in the show notes as well. But I wrote a piece about how to do it because you can stay in these floating water bungalows, and that's super cool. But it's like, okay, but how do I get there? So I teach you how to do that in the episode or in the blog post. But assuming that you're already there,
blog posts, by the way, I actually cannot
live. I live off travel blogs. Yeah.
I love travel blogs. Like that is, if you are looking to get into travel, that is the way, because you can learn so much from people who've just done it themselves. Like that's how I've made all my itineraries. Anyways, okay.
Yeah, like Lila by Alexa Joe.
Yeah, you should definitely check out her travel blog. I've actually read some of them, and
you don't say.
I haven't traveled. Well, I haven't traveled to those places, so it's like
my writing has been more focused around the mental health for a long time, and now I'm doing more travel too. So
yeah, but like, I don't know, just like finding a travel blog for like where you are specifically going is the best way to like get into it and like feel like you can prepare for it. And so if you're going anywhere that Alexa has gone, definitely check out her blogs.
Yeah. Okay. That was a side note plug, but back to Khao National Park. So basically how I did it was went to a hostel there, and then once you're there, you sign up for an excursion where you go and you stay one night in the floating water bungalow. And then they bring you back. You stay in the hostel for another night or go off, whatever. So you don't go straight to the bungalow. And so once I got there, one of the excursions for the one that I wanted to do was sold out. So I did this other one. And I was like, yeah, I feel like one night is enough for me. Like that'll probably be fine. Seems like a cool experience, but I don't want to do like all this swamp trekking and shit. So
fair enough.
And,
then she, the lady, she's like, well, I don't have a ton of spots left. And I'm thinking like, I came here just for this. And so then like these other people are behind me. They want to sign up for it too. I'm like, put my name on the list. So I signed up for it and I'm like, well, I'm here. This is the only option available. And I was like, yeah. I took a picture of it and I was like, I'll read the itinerary later. And then I met some girls in the lobby and we went out to eat and I never read the fucking itinerary. So then we get there. And these girls start talking. They're like, yeah, I can't believe we're going into this cave that people drown in. I said, I can't tell if I want to know more or if I want you to shut up. So then I'm like, what do you mean? Because obviously curiosity. And they're telling me about this story about how like there was a flash flood and these people went in and then the cave started flooding and they couldn't all get out. And there was like an engaged couple and, he went to go find help and left her up on this rock and she never saw him again. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I know.
That is petrifying.
Tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
And so.
And you're like, oh, so I'm about to go do that?
Cool. Can we opt out? But then
Let me just go text my dad goodbye forever.
But then I knew that I would regret it if I didn't do it because it's a cool thing. But the thing is, like, when you do excursions in Southeast Asia, they never tell you what's going on. It's always chaos, but somehow you always end up where you're supposed to be. You just never know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of roll with it. And I was used to that. So I was like, yeah, sure. I have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm just following the next step. So we go through all these different steps and we finally get to the water bungalows and then we're all crowded up there. And they're like, okay, everybody, I need 2 people. 2 people raise their hands. And I was like, well, I'm going to see. I've been at this long enough that I'm going to see what's about to happen. So 2 people raise their hands and then they're like, okay, you 2 in this bungalow. And they're like, oh, we don't know each other. And they're like, okay, next. And they just start shoving people in random bungalows. And then I'm looking at the girl that I was sitting next to on the way there, this Italian girl. And she was like, plenty sweet, but we just met 20 minutes ago.
You're like, oh, hi, Ruby.
And then we're like, okay, so you and I? We're like, I guess you're my bestie now.
I guess we're in it together.
You're my closest friend here.
Yeah,
the only person whose name I know.
Like, if I die, you die too. Like,
so, yeah. And so then we're like, yeah, sure, we'll go in this one. And we go in and we're like, oh, there's only one bed.
Oh, great. So now we're going to start cuddling.
It was just a mat on the ground and 2 pillows.
It's like, have at it.
Yeah. And then we both looked at each other and we just started laughing. And I'm like, I'm so glad that
it's a girl.
Yeah. And it's like this girl that like seems sweet enough. Like, what if I was just standing next to somebody and they're like, you 2? And then I was like, I mean, I don't know if I would have said something. I think I would have if I was scared about my safety.
Mm-hmm.
So that all worked out fine for me. But then at the end, there was this couple left. But they had only had like 1 spot in one bungalow and 1 spot in another. Like, oh, these are actually 3s. And then these people are like, well, we're a couple. Like, we want to stay in the same bungalow. This is supposed to be like cool.
This is like our trip together.
So then some other people were like, well, we actually don't know each other. So like, sure, have our room.
Yeah.
Like, we'll go split up, whatever. But so that was another thing that we're like, cool. So nobody ever tells you what's happening. Like, they're
No
just
one
like,
knows.
2 people raise their hands. And you're like,
okay.
So I never go first now because I like to scope out the scene. So that was interesting. And then they're telling us about our itinerary, blah, blah, blah. We go, and all of the bathrooms are horrific, by the way. All of them are clogged.
Yeah,
Every single
sounds about
toilet
right.
clogged. But what are they to do? We're on a floating dock. I don't know. So anyway, it was actually really cool. Like, I loved Cowsock National Park, but I just should have read the itinerary. So then we
If
go,
they even provide an itinerary.
and they did. This is ignorance for me.
But like,
But a lot of times they don't.
a lot of places don't even. So it's like,
They're like, you want to ride a quad bike? Cool.
okay, so just show up at this time.
Yeah. Pay $30. It's yours for 2 hours. Like, okay, cool. So people do flip these and die. It won't happen though.
Yeah, no.
Say, no, not for you.
I'm invincible.
You just trust
obviously.
it.
Yeah.
Like, because usually, like, if you're in America traveling, your peace of mind is, okay, if they're letting me do this, it can't be that dangerous.
Yeah, like you sign a waiver.
No, you definitely shouldn't trust that shit anywhere else. Like,
Never.
Well, and that's because everyone will sue everyone in America.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, nobody's suing anyone here.
Do they even have lawyers down there? Like, I mean, I'm sure they do, but
Sure they do. They have laws.
but like,
What, do they? They have like 5 people on a motorbike. Family of 5.
literally,
And the dog.
and like the washing machine on their back.
No, I literally have a picture of a washing machine on the back, strapped to the back of a motorbike in Vietnam. It's crazy you say that. Legit.
No.
Then we go over to this cave and then we're hiking through this forest for at least a half hour. And we're like, shit, where the fuck is this cave? When are we going in? And then they're like, okay, everybody, like leave the stuff you don't want to bring into the cave here. And we're like, okay, cool. This must be where it is. Then we hike for another 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, why did I leave all my stuff back there? Like,
Is this just some big heist? Like, I left shit back there. So then,
because the reason we had to leave our stuff was because there's points in the cave where it's so deep that you have to swim.
Yeah, I went through a similar cave like that in Belize. Like,
so crazy.
couldn't even touch the ground.
And so we get in there and all of a sudden I'm really grateful for my rabies shot because I see these bats flying up above. I see this guy with a big ass spider on his arm. I'll put the picture into my Instagram story so people can see it. It was huge.
Oh,
it's like the size of a deck of cards. The body. Well, that might be dramatic. No, that's not dramatic. And so then we go through there and I'm like, I'm just thinking about all the ways I could die in there. Because if you slip and crack your head open, you're cooked. Like, and all the rocks were slippery. And then when at one point we're swimming in the cave and I see this thing swimming towards me and I thought it was a snake, but it was a fish. Oh, thank God.
But still,
saved by the fish. But I was so scared. So there were so many things like that. And then we were in there for like an hour and a half. And we finally get out. And you know how you get out? You crawl through this little hole, maybe the size of like, okay, no, it probably can't be the size of a basketball net. It had to have been bigger. I just remember being like, what about the patrons that can't get through this hole?
Like what if someone who's larger than a size 6?
Yeah.
You know, it's not one size fits all, I guess, for those types of caves.
But then, so we get out and I can breathe again, right? Because I'm like, oh, thank God I survived it. And it turns out where we ended up was right where all of our stuff, where we left was. It did all end up working out in the end. We just had no idea why we were doing it the way we were. So then we all pile into this boat and then we try to go and it starts sinking. And they're like, nope, get off. They realized that we had too many people on the boat. So then I'm like, I'm staying on this boat because there wasn't a hole or anything. They just had too many people. It wouldn't go. So then they take some people off. And then they just leave them back there. And we're like, okay, bye. There's like 7 people. And then we keep going. But then right across the way, there's another bank. We didn't even get 25 feet away from where we started, I think. And then all of a sudden they dock us at that one. And they're like, nope. This is too many people too.
Oh my God.
And so it was just so weird. And it was just...
It's weird because like they do these... I'm sure they do these.
They do this
these guides
every single day.
Like why?
Every single day. You'd think things would be different. It's always just chaos. And so you just sit there and you're like, I will end up where I need to be.
Like you just gotta trust in whoever is up above.
Yeah. So that was my experience in Khao Sok. But you said that you went hiking in a cave in Belize.
Yeah, I went hiking in a cave in Belize. That's very similar. The way you described it was very similar. But I didn't have as much fear of dying.
Right.
But there was part when you were going through, the only way to get through is there was rock that was wide enough for your neck to fit through. Like
that is so terrifying.
If you have claustrophobia, not the place for you. Mm-hmm. But I don't have that issue. I don't know. I was just
so you were fine with a little scrape to the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This reminds me of you hear stories of people dying and then you're like, oh great, should I do that? When we were in Peru, we were gonna be doing a couple different mountain hikes and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so there was 2 main mountain hikes that we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I had ended up getting sick. So we ended up canceling one of the hikes so I could rest. And then we were going to do that hike 2 days later and we stayed an extra day, whatever. Mm-hmm. So we were talking to other people, trying to debate which hike we wanted to do first. And we were like very set on doing both of them. And suddenly people are saying like, oh yeah, like somebody like literally died on that hike today.
Today?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. So excited. Can't wait.
So we were going to do it tomorrow.
Whatever happened to ignorance is bliss?
Yeah. And so then Allie and I were already like, whoa, like what?
Well, we already paid, so.
But we didn't actually end up paying for it yet. But so we were like asking like, okay, well, how did they die? Like, why? Like, why?
Anyway, what was the COD?
And so at the time that we were in Peru, it was at the very beginning of like their wet season. And so since you're so high up in the mountains, the lightning strikes.
You're kidding. They got struck by lightning.
Someone died getting struck by lightning the day before we wanted to do that same hike. We also just had been hearing like that this hike was not as good as it was hyped up to be. So we ended up only doing one of the 2 hikes. But yeah, so hearing that someone got struck by lightning that day changed a lot for us. We decided to not do that.
And that's fair.
Yeah, so
I would never even think that would be, I would never think, why might we not do this hike? I wouldn't think that.
Getting struck by lightning. But yeah, so we only did the 1 hike, and worth it. It was beautiful. If you ever go to Peru, maybe I should make a blog and I can tell you the hikes.
Yeah, you're a big time travel girl.
Definitely recommend going on hikes in the Andes Mountains. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Well, it sounds like you did prepare for that one then.
Yeah. I was much more prepared for
You read the itinerary.
I was prepared.
One thing about you're going to be prepared.
I literally, if there is something that's not planned, I am a ball of anxieties.
I travel pretty differently. Yeah. Like I just kind of like I'm very planned in the sense that I have all of my stuff. Like I look up anywhere I might want to go, any country.
You do your research.
Yeah, I do a lot of research. And I have a loose plan. I just allow it to change. Like I like the idea of going on adventure I didn't know about before, and that does get me into some trouble. For example, when I was in Europe, there's 2 times I got on vehicles I should not have. But so one of them was when I was in Greece. I was in Santorini, and one of the guys who had worked at the hostel that I was staying at, he seemed super cool to me and like fine, whatever. And then when we were at breakfast, that's when people are kind of sorting out what they're going to do for the day. And so I was like, I really need to do my laundry. I tried doing my own laundry in the sink. Everyone was making fun of me. Never do that. Just pay a laundry service. It took me so long. And then I went to go hang my clothes out to dry, and it started freaking raining.
Oh.
And that was when I threw in the towel.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I ended up being able to use the dryer at the place. But so the guy who had worked there was like, oh, I'm a local. I've grown up on this island. Like, I'll show you guys some cool places, whatever. And we had met up with him and gone to a beach earlier that week. So I didn't think anything of it. But then I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. Other people said they were down. And then everyone started dropping like flies. And I was like, I literally have nowhere better to be, and I have no lie.
Yeah.
I have no lie to make up.
And like you suddenly are like the last one available, and you're like, oh, I guess.
And I'm like, well, I want to go to this cool beach that he's hyped up, but I'm also like, the alarm bells are going off that I'm like, stranger danger, young girl, older guy. Yeah. Right? So I go.
As one
I had my own quad bike. So I was like, okay, I have my own transportation. And I also just felt super awkward about it. I was only 22.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very assertive. Mm-hmm. And I just like didn't know how to get, because I didn't want to assume that it was anything bad. So anyway, so then we're on the way. I'm following him, and he's like, oh, actually, I have to stop at my place to get some stuff, like my swim trunks and all of that, because he had just gotten off work. And I was like, okay, cool.
Okay, going to your house?
So we have to go up this steep ass mountain, but on the way there, he gets pulled over by the police because he's not wearing a helmet. So then I'm sat there, and he's yelling. They're like yelling at each other in Greek, and I'm just like, do 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 do.
You're like,
I'm like, should I be here? Should I leave? Yeah. I'm scared because, oh wait, I did have my international driver's license. Okay, never mind. I got it online that day, so I was fine.
That day,
but Yeah, but I was just, you can just do it online. It's not a big deal.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, there I could. I wonder if it's the same for other countries, but anyway, so I followed him up to his place. It sounds so bad when I say it out loud. So I followed him up to his place, and then he's like in there, and I just stand outside on the porch.
Let me guess, he's like, oh, you have to come inside. No.
So then, no. So he was like, I got to go sort this out with those guys, because he wanted to go fight the police some more, because he got his license taken away for the next 3 months or something like that. Like his license got suspended because he wasn't wearing the helmet. So then I was like, are we still gonna go to this beach? Like, are you gonna drive? Like, you're not hopping on my motorbike. They were yelling at each other in Greece, so I didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah.
And so then he was like, I'm gonna go back down there and talk to those guys. You can just hang out here. You can go outside, help yourself to whatever. Like, and I hear somebody moving around in there. I'm sure he has a roommate. So then he leaves. So then I'm just like, okay, what the fuck do I do? Like, I'm obviously not going inside this house. But is this some type of weird trap? Like, is he actually leaving? Or like, is this person inside going to get me? Like, is he leaving so that other people are going to come get me? Like,
is this all a big plan?
Yeah. Something is fishy here. Mm-hmm. So then I'm just like, sitting there on the hammock out there, and I'm like, this is everything they tell you not to do. This is exactly why my parents worry about me traveling alone. So sorry if you're listening, Mom and Dad. Like, there are stories I will never tell them.
Oh yeah.
Nothing crazy bad has happened to me, but it's just like, oh,
for their
Mom and Dad wouldn't want to know about this one.
Yeah, like for their own peace of mind, just don't tell them that story.
Yeah, there's things that you say after you do it. Like if I'm going to skydive, I'm not telling them till after. When I did the motorbike loop, I did not tell them till after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so alarm bells are going off in my head and I'm like, girl, trust your gut. Be a smart girl. You are a smart girl.
You know.
Be one. Because I was like, well, he left. Like I can't, like if he comes back and I'm gone, like then it's just weird. And I was like, fuck it, let it be weird. So then I go to get on my quad and I start backing out. And that's when he starts coming up. And he's like, oh no, sorry it took so long. Like I'm back. And I was like, I think I'm going to just go. I think I'm just gonna go. Like, I just need to go do some stuff.
I'm actually
and he's like
busy.
He's like, I'm sorry. Like, is it weird? Like, did I make you uncomfortable or weird? And I was like, it's fine. And he's like, oh well. I was like, I just don't want to go to the beach anymore. And he's like, oh well. Like, do you want to go get a coffee? And I was like, no. I just feel like some like weird stuff has happened before where I trusted people I shouldn't have, and I just feel like I should go.
Yeah.
And then
good for you for asserting yourself and like being honest.
Yeah.
Like so easy to just make up a little lie.
Yeah.
If he was making you uncomfortable, you should tell him
and
that.
I don't know that it was like necessarily anything that he was doing. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but that's the problem is I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, I'm assuming the best in him. And hello, I assume the best in a lot of people. And then they fucked me over.
I have plenty of experiences where I meet people on my
especially
trips.
Earlier that year with like the people that were closest to me in my life.
It's a story for another time.
But so then I left and he's like, are you like, oh, do you want to talk about it? I was like, no. So then I left and I just felt like so anxious, but also so relieved. Mm-hmm. So then I went and I got myself a Euro and I went to the beach by myself. And then later I went back and I was just like praying he wouldn't be back working that day because he worked at the hostel. I just felt like so sick to my stomach about this situation. Like I felt this weird guilt and badness for him
because you didn't want to like make him feel bad about himself either.
Yeah, or like assuming he was being creepy when he wasn't. And then it's just like that's like such a, this is what we go through as girls, you know what I mean? So nothing happened, but I don't know that nothing would have. I'm really proud of myself that I trusted my gut in that situation, but I'm disappointed in myself that I knew it was wrong and I shouldn't have gone in the first place. Like I should have just said, and I'd prefer, I thought it was going to be a group thing and now I feel like I should just do some work.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job then. Never mind. Well, I could have made something up.
You could have been like, I got a lot of admin to do. Sorry, busy.
So then the next day was my last day there. I was checking out the next day, so it was fine. I felt like uncomfortable about the situation, but then I had messaged him on Instagram. So I said, I just wanted to clear the air about yesterday. Initially, I went despite feeling awkward about it because I believed you were a good guy and wanted to see cool new things on the island. But then after leaving, I reminded myself I need to be more careful about trusting people. Thank you for your recommendations about Santorini and best of luck with Caveland. It was a great experience. Cheers. And he said, safety first. And he said, I found myself wondering, to be honest, did I do something wrong? But I actually get it. The potential to people is not always clear. Travel safe.
Yeah.
I think it was all in good intention, but you just never know. And so especially as a girl traveling alone, you have to be smart. And like literally when I landed in Europe, my first day solo traveling ever, I got in a taxi because I had arranged a ride with my hotel. I guess I didn't do it right, whatever. And the guy's like, oh, I want to show you this cool thing. And he's like, here, come out. You got to see this view. And I'm like, seriously? Hour one? You're fucking kidding me. Like okay, great. Here it is. So I took all my stuff with me because, my bag had gotten lost. So I only had my little like, And I never chased up insurance about that. I'm so annoyed.
Girl, you should have got your money.
I should have got my hundreds, but I didn't. So anyway, but he was fine. He actually ended up being a really good guy, but I'm too trusting. I still am too trusting.
Well, and that's a good trait and a bad trait. Like it's not bad to be trusting because you don't want to be that person that literally trusts nobody. That's how you don't make any friends, or that's. I've
had some really wonderful experiences by just trusting too, and that's how. It's hard to discern, but it's just like, just trust your gut. Mm-hmm. And like a similar thing, I didn't learn my lesson actually. A similar thing happened a month later when I was at a cafe in Italy. I was there for a long time. I was writing, and then what I seemed to be a couple sitting right next to me was talking for a long time, and then they made conversation with me like, hey, like, what are you writing, blah blah blah, or like we ordered the same thing, and I forget what, but we ended up talking a little bit. I'd go back to work, they'd go back to work, and then we'd talk again. And then they were talking about how they were going to go to the exclusive yacht club after, and if I want to come with. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And I'm thinking they're a couple. And then all of a sudden she goes, okay, ciao, bye-bye, so lovely to meet you, leaves.
And then it's just you and him.
Like, cool. So I already said I have nothing to do today.
Great.
I already said I'd love to go. So then, and he had an electric motorbike, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to go on an electric motorbike.
I have never been on one of those.
And so I was like, I don't know. And of course, he's like, what? It's fine. It's safe. You can wear my helmet, blah, blah, blah. So he takes me there and we go, and it's like cool-ish. But then I'm just like really trying to keep my distance. And then I'm smelling flowers because I'm a delight and I enjoy the little things. And I stop to smell the roses. And he leans over and he's like, you smell good. Is that shampoo?
Oh
and
my
so
God.
I was like, disgust. What can I do to turn him away? And I was like, probably not. I haven't washed my hair in 4 days. Which was true.
You weren't actually lying on that one.
But anyway, so then after that, I was like, fuck. Oh my God. I'm dumb. What are you not supposed to do? Get on the back of someone's motorbike.
And
But
then
I was in Italy. I don't know why I did it, but I did. So then I was like, what can I do? What scares a man? What turns him off more than anything? I FaceTime my dad. Yeah. And then I was like, I really need to go back. There's some stuff going on with my family. I'm really concerned. I need to go. And yeah, dad, I'll call you back. This is where I am right now. Gave my exact location. Sends my location. I'm like, yeah. You have my location. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
so this guy heard you saying that to your dad.
I don't know if I actually even said that on the phone with my dad because I didn't want to worry him. I hung up and then said it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Daddy.
Well, that reminds me of the stories of you think you know somebody, but you like really, you don't. You learn who they really are after the fact, and then you're like, okay, why did I trust you?
Yeah, and like making travel friends is great. And most of the time, so trustable. But just like always, just keep your cards close to your chest. I get so comfortable. I treat a hostel like my living room.
No, literally.
But
I mean, in 9
still have a little bit of wariness.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, the people that I meet and the friends that I make are amazing. And I've made such good friends on my trips, lifelong friends. But then there's the people that I'm like, oh, I thought you were a lifelong friend until you got weird.
Oh, and then you were actually the weirdest person I've ever met.
Yeah, actually, I didn't.
Cool. So happy I learned.
Yeah. So then when we went to Paris, we were going out one night, just like out on the town, and we met these 2 random boys on the street, and they were like around the same age as us, and they were actually from Paris. And
they could have been the loves of your life.
Yeah.
Like you never know.
Exactly. And so we were telling them like, hey, like we're trying to like go out. Do you guys know any good places? And obviously since they're from Paris, they knew all the good spots. So they took us to like this really, really, really fun club. It was so fun. I don't remember the name of it, so I can't recommend it, but maybe I'll go figure it out. Anyways, so we went to this club, and one of them was very clearly interested in me. And he was super like, ooh-doo-doo with me. And he was like asking my friend Anna that I was with if he had permission to kiss me.
That's so weird.
And at first I was like, that's a little cute, but I don't know. Like, I'm in Paris. I'm at a club. I'm drunk.
Why did he ask her if he can kiss you?
I know. But I was like, okay, yeah, I'll kiss you. So we started kissing.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And like the next day was our very last day in Paris. And he was messaging me, begging me to go on a date with him. He was like going to take me out on this extravagant little date.
Yeah, they're begging. Yep.
And I was like, girl, it's my last day in Paris. I'm not spending it with a stranger. I'm spending it with my bestie, Anna.
Yeah, girls, girl.
So I ended up not ever seeing him again. But then, so we followed each other on Instagram, and we get home from Paris, like we get home from the trip. And this was probably 2 months after the trip. Him and I weren't talking or anything, but he's posting on Instagram, his like an Instagram story, a picture of him like reading a book with like a bunch of French captions. I was like, I'm just going to Google translate that, see what it says. I'm curious what he has to say. So Google Translate.
Oh boy.
Translated
I'm so scared.
it. Let me pull up the pictures here. Just give me a second. Pulled it up on my iPad and took a picture of it.
I'm so nervous. It has to be so obscure if you took a screenshot. Like, it obviously wasn't just about reading a good book.
No. So this is the picture. It was a picture of him.
He looks like he's at work at a desk.
Yeah, sorry. I guess
looks
at
like
a
some
computer.
guy who has a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh, people with podcasts.
I know somebody like that. But yeah, so the caption is, I'm a self-entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, Slay King.
Yeah, okay.
Then the next picture is a picture of him pouring champagne into a glass of wine.
Right.
And he goes, doing my box 1 million business figures. So I think that's him saying that he's earned $1 million and he's like celebrating.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, king.
Okay, maybe we should have gone on that date.
Yeah. Then the next one, he's like, I owe her all my hours of work. I manage a large network of international prostitutes.
Oh! Ow!
Yeah. And then the next one goes, our hoes are the best.
Our hoes are the best.
And in that moment, I'm like, oh, so you're telling me I just kissed a pimp? Oh, great. Like, he's literally an actual pimp.
You never know who you're kissing.
Never. I'm like, why? You can't trust anybody around here.
Mm-hmm. Times where you're like, how did I end up here? Isn't always necessarily bad.
It's a funny story in hindsight.
Yeah,
like, I kissed a pimp in Paris. What else? What, like, that is a life goal of mine, actually.
And for me, the time when I ended up on a snowstorm in a farm in Bavaria, when I left, I packed my backpack full of suitcases, or full of. I packed my backpack full of swimsuits. I was going to the Greek islands. When I left America, I was going to go hopping around the Greek islands, Croatia, Italy, and all of a sudden, I'm sat there in a snowstorm, freezing my ass off. In Bavaria, first of all, why am I in Germany?
Literally, how did you end up here?
Like, Germany was great. Nothing against Germany.
Love Germany.
But I was not prepared for Germany in the winter. I had bikinis.
Yeah, you did not even dress for that.
Granted, I met up with my aunt and uncle in Italy before that, and they brought me my winter parka and a pair of boots, so I was fine because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna extend my trip. I'm gonna go to Germany, meet up with these cool people that I met, and I ended up like meeting up with a friend. And he had a farm. And so he's like, oh, yeah, like I have an appointment out at the farm. Do you want to see it? And I was like, shit, yeah. Yeah, well, it was a snowstorm. And also because a little bit further than his farm was one of my friends that I wanted to see again, who I had met in Santorini. And so I was like, oh, can we go visit my friend Becca? And so then we did get to go see her and everything. And so like nothing was bad. Like nothing turned out bad from it. But, well, I won't say nothing, but because I was, in a snowstorm in Bavaria. But I was just sat there and I'm like, God damn it, Alexa Joe. How the fuck you always in these situations?
How do you end up here?
How do we end up here? Story of our life.
Literally.
And I feel like we could go on, but I do think it's time to chop her off.
It is time to wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We need to go eat dinner and go have a drink.
I am hungry.
But anyway, thanks so much for tuning into Lila the podcast. Thanks for being on today, Lola.
It was so fun. I'm so honored to be a part of it.
It was so fun to have you on. And Lola has always been such a big supporter of Lila.
Yes.
I just am happy to have you on. I'm happy for people to meet you and excited for the next time you'll be on when we'll be talking about stuff more on the mental health side and like some getting through some life stuff. So I'm excited, and yeah, please, if you like this episode, or if you didn't, share it.
Still share it and still give it 5 stars. Not an option.
All publicity is good publicity. Please leave a rating if you think it was 5 stars. Otherwise, keep scrolling. Don't waste your time being negative.
Yeah, don't need to do anything.
Negative makes you ugly. I just want to end it off by saying, what's next for you, Lola? Where are you headed off to next, you jet setter?
I'm going to Europe in 2.5 weeks.
And you're leaving for the longest you've ever left.
Yeah, this will be my longest trip. So I'm going for 7 weeks total.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and meeting up with a bunch of random people along the way.
Fun travel friends you met?
Yeah, so meeting up with, I'm going with my friend Allie, and then meeting up with my friend Chrissy, who I met in Belize, and then going to London and meeting up with a bunch of the London friends that we made in South America. And then I'm meeting up with a coworker in Portugal. I'm doing it all.
I'm so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you, because I remember in Bali, you just talking about how you wanted to do backpacking. You wanted to go solo traveling. And I was like, I really think you can do it. And I mean, you're not solo traveling necessarily, but you are like...
I'm still doing more.
And so I'm so excited for you, and I am insanely jealous, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about making people jealous.
Exactly. That is why I do it.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Anyways.
Before we expose ourselves too much, that's what we got. Bye-bye.
Okay.